If astrology was 100% true, then God's presence would have made no difference to human beings. If everything is destined and there is absolutely no way to change the course of your destiny, then we all would have been dead by now. But we are alive. We are alive because we are not perfect. We are not 100% accurate. There is a much higher power that dwells in this universe, and it is called God, God consciousness. Always remember, perfection means death, imperfection means being alive. Perfection is death. Perfection is not found in the world. The world lives through imperfection. Because in imperfection there is growth, there is evolution. Perfection is a myth. Totality is a reality. You cannot be perfect, but you can always be total. Astrology is not perfect. Astrology is total. Astrology is not 100% accurate. Astrology is 99% accurate. I may be in a love relationship and my relationship will remain as long as I am not perfect. Imperfections keep relationships alive. Perfection simply brings a relationship to a dead end. Because you are not 100% perfect, because your partner is not 100% perfect, you enjoy the relationship. Had it been 100% perfect, it would have appeared as a plastic perfect relationship. And plastic is a dead material, utterly dead. A couple that has no differences, no imperfections, no arguments and no quarrels is a dead couple. It is a dead relationship. Relationship remains alive only when there are imperfections, quarrels, arguments, small fights. You see, these all are sources that keep your relationship imperfect. And because it is imperfect, it is alive. It is not dead. Astrology cannot be 100% true. It can be 99% true because that remaining 1% is where Buddha can change the course of your destiny. That 1% is where Jesus can change you inside out. That 1% is where Krishna, Mahavira, the divine masters can intervene and save you, nurture you, and raise you from the ashes, the lowest point of your life. When you are willing to surrender yourself at the feet of the Master comes to your rescue. The Master comes rushing to save you, to nurture you, to help you realize the true essence of a human life. Because the Master loves you, the Master can wait millions and millions of years just for you. The real question is, when are you going to awake? When are you going to start turning inwards? Turn your attention inwards. What do you see? You are not a body, nor your mind. You are beyond mind. You are infinite. Going inwards will awaken you, and once you are awakened, then there is no looking back. The road is clear, and you are ready to walk with the compassionate divine master. 99% astrology can be right, but the remaining 1% is the only space where you can change the entire course of your life. by introducing God in your life, by bringing unwavering faith and willpower in your life, and by raising the level of your awareness, consciousness. The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness, says Lao Tzu, one of the greatest divine masters. The more you will come towards your consciousness, the more you will become conscious of your actions, the more you will execute actions by being conscious, aware, the more you will experience the divinity of the Master. Because the Master is the consciousness, God consciousness. God is the ultimate fragrance of your consciousness. Sin happens when you are asleep and when you are not awake. You are pulled towards a woman. Lust comes rushing to your being. Consciousness is completely overshadowed. You are no more conscious, no more in your senses. That is when sin happens. And then you wonder, what happened? How come you were pulled towards a certain woman? How come you became so ignorant? How come you became so stupid? You see, every moment of life, God is testing our awareness, our state of consciousness. One mistake and scams are born. One instance of ignorance and scandals are born. Meditation, chanting the name of the Lord, reading the holy scriptures, reciting the shlokas, these all are powerful means through which you can retain your level of consciousness. Then mistakes don't happen. Then you start making right decisions in your life. Then you start making good friends, partners. It all depends on you. You will attract your tribe based on your level of consciousness, based on your fineness, your purity of life, purity of thoughts, purity of emotions. When your emotions are pure, when your love is deep, when your devotion is deep, the Divine Master comes and intervenes in the matters of your life and reduces the negative impact of your destiny. Reminds me of a story. There was a young man, he must be like me. He was devoted to his master. He had a nobody, and he was also a nobody, a Ketuish by birth, and his name was Arjun. Arjun used to follow the footsteps of his master. The master would walk briskly through the dense forest, and Arjun would follow. Sometimes Arjun would say, "Master, I am younger than you, and yet you walk so briskly. So much of energy, so much of swiftness is in your movement that just to see you walking is a blessing to my eyes, a divine moment for me." Listening to Arjun's words, the master would laugh loudly, a loud belly laugh. Even to see him laughing was a treat to the eyes. Arjun followed the master for 20 years. The master would never stay at one place for more than a month, and so Arjun was also always on the move from one village to the other. One day, while he was sitting near the feet of the master took a burning charcoal and threw it on Arjun's body. Arjun moaned in pain because the charcoal was burning hot. It felt on his right hand, and now there was a big burned patch on his right hand. The pain was intolerable. He screamed loudly. Tears started flowing through his eyes. In that jungle, there was no way to get any medicine. He continued to scream, cry. The pain was unbearable. The master just observed him cry with pain. After 20 minutes, the master moved his hand on Arjun's burning hand, and within a minute, the pain was gone and Arjun was healed. Arjun started crying, but this time the tears that flew through his eyes were the tears of joy. He touched the feet of his master and said, "At least explain this, because I am naive and I cannot understand your divine play." The master looked into the eyes of Arjun and said, "You were destined to get burned completely. Your whole body was destined to get burned because of your past life karma. I just reduced the intensity by burning a small part of your hand. Now you are out of that karmic balance. You are saved." Arjun could not find words to express his gratitude. He said, "Even if I wash your feet with my blood, even if I follow you for millions of years to come, even if I make a beautiful dress for you by using the whole skin of my body, still I will not be able to express my gratitude towards you. O compassionate Master, always let me stay under your wings in your gracious omnipresence." Astrology cannot be 100% true. It always gives 1% space for miracles. By reducing the intensity of the bad results, the master saved Arjun from such a big trouble. The whole possibility of change is in this 1%. It is this 1% in which the miracles happen, in which a Buddha is born, in which you can modify, change the course, the impact of your destiny by being devotional, dedicated at the feet of your master, the compassionate Guru. But very few, 1 in a million, can make use of this 1% space, because we have Arjun in minority, whereas we have Duryodhana or Hitler in majority. We have Diogenes in minority, whereas we have ambitious Alexander the Great in majority. God-loving people are few, whereas God-fearing people are more. Arjun is special because Arjun was not God-fearing. Arjun was a God-loving person. Arjun was the epitome of devotion. Devotion is love overflowing. I love devotional beings because the greatest mountain can also move if your devotion, your faith is deep, unwavering, and constant. Astrology appears 100% accurate to those who are not willing to become Arjun. Astrology appears 100% accurate to those who are not willing to meditate. Astrology appears 100% accurate to those shallow people who are still to know the real purpose of human life. The only useful purpose of the present birth is to turn within and realize the self. There is nothing else to do, says Bhagavan Shri Raman Maharshi. One who is turning inwards, one who is coming out of the sleep, one who is becoming the Buddha, one who is meditating, only such a man, such a woman can make use of this 1% space that God so lovingly bestows on His children. We all are God's children, and children never fear their father. they love their father. When your love is overflowing, when you remain devoted, then results of certain malefic conjunctions like Saturn Rahu conjunction, Saturn Mars conjunction, Rahu Sun conjunction, Moon Rahu conjunction, such malefic conjunctions can be modified or put to good use, but only when you are willing to become Arjuna, when you are willing to embark on the greatest journey of life, the spiritual journey. Many men and women confuse the word spirituality with occultism. Occultism is not spirituality. Black magic, hypnosis, and other mysterious arts fall under occultism but not spirituality. Buddha had absolutely nothing to do with occultism. Kabir had absolutely nothing to do with occultism. Mahavira, Jesus, Arjuna, the enlightened beings have absolutely nothing to do with occultism and your zigzag magics and fancies of mind. The enlightened beings operate beyond the mind. Beyond the mind is the spiritual world, and within the limit of mind is the magical occult world. Magic is limited, it has its limits. However, miracle has no limits. Miracle is God made, while magic is man made. Occultism connects you with magic. Spirituality connects you with miracle. You all have to decide which path you want to choose, path of magic or path of miracles, because you become what you choose. Whether you want to walk on the path of Mirabai, one of the greatest devotee of Krishna, whether you want to walk on the path of Ananda, who followed Buddha for 40 years and attained enlightenment exactly 24 hours after Buddha died, or whether you want to walk on the path of occultism and remain trapped in the deep, dangerous valleys of your monkey mind. You all have to decide, you all have to choose, and you will choose, you will select your path based on the level of your consciousness. There was one astrologer. He was one of the greatest astrologers that the world had ever known, and he was walking on the seashore when suddenly he came across footprints of a man, and those footprints were not common footprints. He could not believe his eyes, because all the scriptures that he had been studying his whole life had been telling him about certain signs that exist in the feet of a man who rules the world, a Chakravarti, a ruler of all the 6 continents. And he saw in the footprints in the wet sand on the river bank all the symbols so clearly that he could not believe his eyes. Either all his scriptures were wrong and he was wasting his life in astrology. Otherwise, how was it possible on such a hot afternoon, in such a small dirty village, a Chakravarti would come and walk barefoot on the burning hot sand? He followed the footprints, just in search of the man to whom these footprints belong. He found the Buddha sitting under a tree. He was even more puzzled. The face was that of a Chakravarti, the grace, the beauty, the power, the aura. But the man was a beggar with a begging bowl. The astrologer touched the feet of the Buddha and asked him, "Who are you, sir? You have puzzled me. You should be a Chakravarti, a world ruler. What are you doing here sitting under this tree? Either all my astrology books are wrong, or I am hallucinating and you are not really there? Buddha said, your books are absolutely right. But there is something which belongs to no category, not even to the category of Chakravarti. I am, but I am nobody in particular. The astrologer said, you are puzzling me more. How can you be without being anybody in particular? You must be a god who has come to visit the earth. I can see it in your eyes. Buddha said, I am not a god. The astrologer said, then you must be a Gandharva, a celestial musician. Buddha said, no, I am not a Gandharva either. And the astrologer went on asking, then are you a king in disguise? Who are you? You can't be an animal, you can't be a tree, you can't be a rock. Who exactly are you? And the answer that Buddha gave is of immense importance to understand. He said, I am just a Buddha. I am just awareness and nothing else. I don't belong to any category. Every category is an identification, and I don't have any identity. This is the state of enlightened beings, that they can change the pattern of their yogas. Instead of becoming a conqueror of the world, a Chakravarti, they uplift the yoga in their horoscope and become the conqueror of the self. That is how Buddha says, it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Then the victory is yours. It cannot be taken from you. This is how a Buddha is born. This is how Mahavira is born. Not by conquering the world, but by conquering oneself. Buddha says, to conquer oneself is a greater task than conquering others. Astrology cannot be 100% accurate, else Gautam Buddha would have become a conqueror of the world. But by expanding his consciousness, he became the conqueror of the self. He became one of the greatest masters that the world had ever known. Probably for centuries to come, we may not have a person of the caliber of Buddha, Gautam Buddha. History has been witness to the fact that one of the greatest sinners have become the greatest saints. How it all happened? Because it is obvious that these sinners would have had the most feared conjunctions and the most feared bad placements of planets in their charts. Maybe in the 8th house, maybe in the 6th, maybe in the 12th house. And yet a time came in their life, a moment came, the greatest moment, the real turning moment, when they started transforming into something so beautiful, so magnanimous, so divine that the world had ever known. Saul, one of the greatest haters of Jesus and Christians, became one of the greatest lovers of Jesus. And to remember this moment of transformation, he changed his name from Saul to Paul. He became one of the greatest saints in the Christian faith. He was revered as a Saint Paul. Saul became Saint Paul, and it is this Saint Paul who built many churches in Europe. A man who hated the Christians, who hated Jesus, started building church, started loving Jesus, started transforming many men into enlightened beings. Ratnakar was a thief, not just a thief, but also a murderer. He would kill people for money, for treasures, and then a day came. He was walking through the dense forest, And he was a bodybuilder. He was very tall, having a masculine body, long hands. He looked like a warrior, though he was just a thief, a looter. And so he was walking, and suddenly he stumbled upon an old man. And the old man was something. There was a certain aura around him, a certain fragrance lingered around him. His smile, his peace, his bliss. Ratnakar, the man who was feared by millions, was taken aback. People would start trembling when they would see Ratnakar standing before them. He was the Don whom the world feared. But this old man, he seemed to be a different man. He was smiling, and his smile was so enchanting that Ratnakar stopped for a moment. Then he asked, "Who are you?" The old man said, "I know who am I, but tell me, who are you?" Ratnakar said, "You don't know me. I am." The old man stopped him and said, "I know who you are. I know what you were in your last many births." And the old man told him everything about his last past births and his current birth as well. And Ratnakar stood dumbfounded. He had no words. The greatest Don, Ratnakar, bowed before the old man and said, "I am deeply touched by your insights and words. Now take me under your wings. I don't want to loot people. I don't want to remain a Don. Instead, I want the truth to dawn upon me. Please accept me as your disciple. From this moment, I will give up my looting business. From this moment, I will drop all my weapons. From this moment, I will drop the very thought that I am somebody." The old man quickly stood up and gave a warm hug to Ratnakar. He was accepted. And then there was no looking back. Ratnakar took to deep penance, intense penance, and his intensity was so much that one day truth dawned upon him, and in the true sense he became the Don, but this time Don of oneself and not of others. That was the moment when Ratnakar slipped out of his mind, dropped his old skin, and became Saint Valmiki, the man who scripted the greatest scripture, the Valmiki Ramayana. A man who had the most feared conjunctions, the most dreadful placement of planets that initially made him a Don, a smuggler, a thief, one day became one of the greatest saint, Saint Valmiki. That is the beauty of that 1%, my fellows. That is the whole beauty of not being perfect. That is the beauty of being natural. A natural man, a natural woman always is appealing. They may sound imperfect, they may have certain thorns, imperfections, but they have the fragrance of a real rose. Whereas those typical perfectionists are a pain in neck because they sound so artificial, so perfect, so boring. Astrology is not boring because it is not perfect, because it is not 100% accurate. Out of 100%, God has spared 1% for us, so that with the depth of our devotion, with the depth of our love, with the depth of our unwavering faith, we can achieve the impossible. And that is the whole beauty of possibility. Never underestimate the power of possibility. Just beyond the horizon of the so-called impossible is infinite possibility. To all my fellow followers on Quora, to all my readers on my Quora space, and to all my website visitors and my YouTube subscribers, I appeal and I insist to each one of you that believe in the power of possibility. Because the astrologer may be 99% true, but God has spared 1% for you. This 1% is the space of all possibilities. And it is here that you can turn around the tables. You can change the course of your destiny only when you start changing yourself. And to change yourself, you have to allow change to happen within you. You have to surrender yourself at the feet of your master, the Guru. Only then you can make the impossible possible. Only then can you become Arjuna. And only then you can see for the first time the first glimpse of God within you, within your heart. And then there is no looking back. Then there is no resentment. Then there is no complaint. Then you may be bleeding from the outside, but smile will continue to remain on your face. Then no matter how difficult life is, you always will have a grateful heart. And one who remains grateful, one whose heart is filled with gratitude, one who is always thankful, one day becomes a Buddha, becomes godly, becomes the most favorite child of God, the chosen one. Always remember, God chooses first, then you start feeling a hunger for Him. Men cannot choose God, it is God who chooses men. Jesus chose only 12 apostles or disciples. Sai Baba chose only one. Buddha chose only a few who truly attained the heights of enlightenment. Bodhidharma was one of them. He was the only man after centuries who could match the height of Gautam Buddha. And he was contrast to Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was soft in his interactions, while Bodhidharma was very harsh in his interactions. But he was so close to Gautam Buddha, he had attained the state of Buddhahood, and he was a man of many miracles. There was nobody who could match Bodhidharma's powers, his wisdom, his strength. Bodhidharma was indeed the peak, the epitome, the height of the heights. Bodhidharma speaks the essence of Buddha. He has his own style, his own way. Even Buddha will find it strange because Buddha was soft, Bodhidharma was hard. Bodhidharma is not polished like a diamond. He is just from the mine, absolutely raw. There have been many Buddhas in the world, but Bodhidharma stands out like Everest. Bodhidharma indeed is one of the greatest divine masters after Gautam Buddha. The enlightened master choose their disciple. They appear before you only when you are truly ready. Readiness is based on your depth of surrender. When you reach to the stage of total surrender, only then the master appears. The light of consciousness appears before you. When the student is ready, the master appears, says the Buddhist. Ironically, many so-called spiritual seekers are more interested in coming closer to the master than to understand the essence of the master's sharing. Truth is hard, it always is. Once it happened, a few disciples of Buddha were jealous of Ananda. It happens. It always happens, even in monasteries and in so called ashrams. There is this ugly smell of politics. And so they all went to Buddha and said, Master, how come Ananda is found to be always happy? And he has arrived in this monastery after us. Buddha smiled. The master can always understand that which is not spoken. And so Buddha smiled and said, Ananda is a man of heart, grateful heart. No matter what happens to him, he is always grateful to God. Usually people are thankful to God only when they get something good in return. But Ananda is a different man. Even when he is hurt, even when he is bleeding, even when he fails multiple times, still he will be always thankful to God. It is this sense of gratitude that keeps him happy, and it is this sense of gratitude that someday will transform him into a Buddha. A man becomes a Buddha the moment he accepts all that life brings with gratitude. Always remember, it is not happiness that brings gratitude, it is gratitude that brings happiness. A woman having a grateful heart, a man having a grateful heart is always found to be happy. They are the real flowers because it is only a flower that continues to blossom even when the weather outside is harsh. A flower always continues to blossom. It never complains. It is beautiful. It is a flower. The flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all. Be like a flower. Be always grateful. Value all that you have in your life and be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. All the negative placements of planets and negative conjunctions can be transformed into positive. Remember, a knife becomes godly when it is put to use for a good cause. Similarly, when you start turning inwards, when you start bringing change within you, when you start expanding your consciousness by meditating, by chanting the name of the Lord, slowly, all your negative placement of planets start working for a good cause. And then you no more remain just a dawn. Rather, truth dawns upon you, and then there is no looking back. The sky is clear, and you are ready to fly. Start meditating every day. Start chanting the holy mantra. In my new upcoming book, releasing worldwide this July 2021, for the larger interest of my readers, I am going to share certain remedies along with specific mantras that can help you overcome the negative and experience the positive, the godly, the divine. Love to all my readers, followers, and fellow travelers. Stay blessed and remember, you are not alone. God is with you. Love is with you. Love is the strongest medicine. It is more powerful than electricity. Although there are many paths to reach God, the most beautiful path is the path of love and devotion, the Bhakti Marg. The path on which Buddha walked, the path on which Jesus walked, Mahavira walked, Baba Nanak walked, and someday you may also walk. There is always a possibility. Believe in the power of possibility. Meditate.